Our next guest is not just a speaker. He is going to join us as a host. He's a very dear, special friend, and I'm very thankful to Raghu for introducing us. He is one of our other speakers. So he will be the host for the remainder of the Day 2 Never Alone Summit. He is a co-founder and CEO of PIM, a stress and anxiety relief company. He's also a director of Bring Change to Mind, an evidence-based peer-to-peer community for young adults. He is a U.S. trustee of United for Global Health, and he is also an advisor and supporter of Inseparable, a national and policy organization. So that's a lot. So you can see he's got strong advocacy. He invests in companies with transformative products to benefit the needs of actual humans. You know, what do we really need to change? How can we transform society from within through technology? He believes deeply in developing integrated strategies, great storytelling, and strong culture. So that takes each of us everything that we need in our lives to create the best possible version of ourselves. He is also the son of actor and comedian Robin Williams. Welcome, Zak Williams. Thank you so much for being with us. I just love when we're, genuine in the conversation, when we can share openly, and you've just been you've been one of the first, truly, to open, this conversation for many of us here. And thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for taking this flag of not only awareness, but truly, in the field work and helping those who actually don't have a voice. So I wanted to thank you. We're connected by many ways, but I'm going to leave you the stage for you to share with all of our audience and people who will be affected by your presence. So thank you, Zak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for all the work you do. It's so important and transformative for so many.
Thank you. Thank you, Zak.
So I'd like to share my story today and why it relates to mental health and why I started upon my journey around mental health support and advocating for the cause. I found myself experiencing depression and anxiety throughout my entire life, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I felt extremely isolated at times, and during other times, I felt like I had a difficult time connecting with other people. And through that experience, things became harder and harder to actually vocalize what related to how I was actually feeling. And when my dad died by suicide, suddenly things became extremely unmanageable for me. I was unable to focus. I was experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder and feeling traumatized, and found myself self-medicating to the point where I just didn't want to feel anything. I was using alcohol, was trying to use other types of drugs to support me, and I wasn't getting what I needed using those substances. And through that process, what I found was something that actually created an opportunity to open a pathway to me doing what I'm doing today. And that insight I discovered was that service was healing for me. And about 5 years ago, I started on my advocacy journey, working with other organizations that supported and advocated for, developed programs for mental health and mental health support, was a way in which I could heal myself and recover from the trauma I experienced, both from my dad's suicide and other events early in life. So it was on that journey that I realized something very important for me, and that relates specifically to vulnerability. I found that in sharing my story, in sharing what I experienced, I was able to help and support others in them sharing their story, and ultimately, hopefully, find a path to healing. And I was scared and I was fearful around doing that. I felt that me exposing myself, opening up to the world was something that would ultimately lead to me being hurt. And I felt like being vulnerable was a weakness. And over time, it became very apparent to me that I was looking at things the wrong way. And it became clear to me that me being open and finding a way to share my story and what I experienced was a way to actually establish a source of strength. And so my perspective has changed. And I find that vulnerability is one of the most important elements of me doing what I do. It helps me establish an anchor and a foundation from which I can go and support and seek to help the organizations and people that I work with. And vulnerability for me now is the foundation of resilience. And coming to that realization has been extremely important for me because in doing the work that I do, it can be very challenging if I don't do what I do to support myself first. If I don't commit to self-care and taking care of myself in the way that I need to be taken care of, I can't show up for others. And as part of that self-care regimen, I realized certain things had to occur for me to be the version of myself that I wanted to be to show up for others. I cut out self-medicating. I took a lens of seeking to discover and understand what it is that's impacting our mental health ecosystem and causing us to be in the situation that we are in today as a culture and as a society. And through my personal journey and path, I realized that I needed to commit to taking care of myself first prior to actively engaging with those who are seeking to make real systemic change. And so, through my experience and through my path of discovery, what I found is that it's been extremely important to take a systems approach to looking at mental health and mental health support. And I put that into 5 categories if you're talking about pillars of mental health support. That would be programming, initiatives like treatment and development of toolkits, things that support communities, that's awareness, things like campaigns that can help remove the stigma associated with mental health. It's research. It's also advocacy, establishing a way to look at things from a strategic lens and the building of supportive foundational coalitions. And then it's policy, where we can take a lens in terms of making a difference at a systemic level in the public sector. So along my journey, I've realized we need to take a holistic perspective when it comes to applying change on a systems level. And it's taken a while to realize that everything I went through brought me to this point. Thank you.